Under BNP Jamaat's patronage, creating mayhem all over the country. Observers and analysts opine demonstration held in different parts of the country, including capital, in protest against Hifazat's violence. World leaders, including the United Nations, condemn killing of 114 people in anti-military protests in Myanmar. And in Hamilton, New Zealand defeat Bangladesh by 66 runs in the first of three-match T20 series. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to News at 10 on BTV, BTV World and BTV Chattogram Centre. I'm Imtiaz Ahmed Siddiqui. You just heard the headlines. Let's move on to the details of those and other stories. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina reiterated her call to the countrymen to wear face masks alongside maintaining the health guidelines, and she also asked the authorities concerned to take prompt measures to check fresh surge in the COVID-19 infection. Taking part in a discussion marking the golden jubilee of the country's independence virtually from Golo Bhavan this morning, she said that inoculation against the COVID-19 that her government has initiated would be continued, as it is their duty to save lives of the masses alongside ensuring their health protection. Bangladesh Awami League organized the discussion at its central office at 23 Bangabandhu Avenue in the capital. Sheikh Hasina, also the Awami League president, asked her party and its associate bodies, leaders and activists to stand by the people as they did during the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic.
আওয়ামী লীগের নেতাকর্মী যে যেখানে আছেন তাদেরকেও বলবো, এবং আওয়ামী লীগ আমাদের প্রতিটি সহযোগী সংগঠন যখন করোনা ভাইরাসের প্রচণ্ড মহামারী আকার ধারণ করলো, সেই সময় যখন মানুষের পাশে আপনারা দাঁড়িয়েছিলেন, আবার সেই করোনার একটা ধাক্কা আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি আসছে। এখন আমাদের সবাইকে প্রস্তুতি নিতে হবে যে করোনা ভাইরাসের জন্য মানুষের কষ্ট না হয়। একটা রাজনৈতিক দল হিসেবে তাদের পাশে দাঁড়ানো এটা আমাদের কর্তব্য। ঠিক আগের মতনই আপনাদের এখন থেকে প্রস্তুতি নিয়ে মানুষের পাশে দাঁড়াতে হবে, কারণ সরকারের পক্ষ থেকে আমরা যা করব, কিন্তু সাথে সাথে আমাদের রাজনৈতিক দল, যে দল জাতির পিতা বঙ্গবন্ধু শেখ মুজিবের হাতে গড়া, সেই দলের অনেক দায়িত্ব কর্তব্য রয়েছে এদের দেশের মানুষের প্রতি। কাজে আবার আমাদেরকে সেইভাবেই মানুষের পাশে দাঁড়াতে হবে।
Awami League General Secretary and Road Transport and Bridges Minister Abdul Qadir gave the welcome address. Presidium members, Agriculture Minister Dr. Mohammad Abdul Razak and Abdul Rahman, Organizing Secretary SM Kamal Hussain, Cultural Affairs Secretary Oshim Kumar Ukil, International Affairs Secretary Dr. Shammi Ahmed, Central Committee Member Marina Jahan, Dhaka South and North City Awami League General Secretaries Humayun Kabir and SM Mannan Kochi took part in the discussion. Publicity and Publication Secretary of Awami League Dr. Abdussaman Gulab conducted the function. At the discussion organized by Bangladesh Awami League marking the Independence and National Day, in the introductory speech, Road Transport and Bridges Minister Abdul Qadir has called upon the people to be united under the leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to resist the evil communal forces.
ভারত বিদ্বেষী যে সাম্প্রদায়িক গোষ্ঠী ঢাকা, চট্টগ্রাম, ব্রাহ্মণবাড়িয়া সহ জাতীয় মসজিদের ভেতর যে তাণ্ডব লীলা চালিয়েছে, স্বাধীনতার সুবর্ণ জয়ন্তীর সফলতা যাদের গাত্রদাহ, সেই বিএনপি এই অপশক্তির পৃষ্ঠপোষক। সাম্প্রদায়িক অপশক্তির সহিংস তৎপরতা রুখতে হলে আসুন আমরা বঙ্গবন্ধু কন্যা শেখ হাসিনার নেতৃত্বে মুক্তিযুদ্ধের পক্ষে সকল শক্তিকে, সকল জনগণকে ঐক্যবদ্ধ হওয়ার আহ্বান জানাচ্ছি আজকের এই দিনে।
Speaker Dr. Shirin Sharmin Chaudhary has said Commonwealth has to emphasize on attaining economic prosperity through increasing connectivity and sharing views among the member countries. She said this while addressing as chief panelist at a webinar titled Rediscovering Commonwealth for Delivering a Common Future. British High Commission Youth Policy and the Daily Star jointly organized the webinar today. British High Commissioner to Bangladesh Robert Chatterton Dixon, Professor Salimul Haq, editor of the Daily Star Mahfouz Anam, and former Ambassador Farooq Subhan, among others, spoke at the webinar. Eminent citizens attended the webinar virtually. The speakers said it is necessary to share views with member countries for strengthening the activities of poverty alleviation, attaining food autarky, ensure gender equity, and facing climate change and natural calamity. Information and Broadcast Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood has urged madrasa students and teachers not to be used as tools of negative politics conducted by a certain person or group to achieve their target. He made the call while talking to the journalists at the Secretariat today. The Information and Broadcast Minister said BNP Secretary General's speech proved that BNP and Jamaat have relations with the last 2 days' chaos in the country.
ইসলামের খেদমতে বঙ্গবন্ধু কন্যা যে সমস্ত কাজ করেছেন অতীতে কেউ তা করেননি। বঙ্গবন্ধু কন্যা শুধু কওমি মাদ্রাসার সনদের স্বীকৃতি দিয়েই ক্ষান্ত হননি, বরং কওমি মাদ্রাসা থেকে পাশ করা অনেককে সরকারি চাকরিও দিয়েছেন। তাই আমি কওমি মাদ্রাসার সাথে যারা যুক্ত আছেন তাদেরকে অনুরোধ জানাবো, যেই সমস্ত রাজনৈতিক ব্যক্তিবর্গ তাদের রাজনৈতিক অভিলাষ চরিতার্থ করার জন্য আপনাদেরকে ব্যবহার করছে তাদেরকে বর্জন করুন। এই যে কোমলমতি শিশু কিশোরদেরকে রাজনৈতিক ঢাল হিসাবে ব্যবহার করা হচ্ছে এবং রাজনৈতিক হাঙ্গামার মধ্যে ঠেলে দেওয়া হচ্ছে, সরকারি সম্পত্তিতে আগুন দেওয়ার জন্য তাদেরকে ব্যবহার করা হচ্ছে, এটি অত্যন্ত ন্যাক্কারজনক, অগ্রহণযোগ্য এবং এটি কোনো দুষ্কৃতিকারীর মনোবৃত্তি ছাড়া অন্য কেউ এই কাজগুলো করতে পারে না। তাই কওমি মাদ্রাসার সাথে যারা যুক্ত তাদেরকে অনুরোধ জানাবো, কারো রাজনৈতিক অভিলাষের হাতিয়ার হিসাবে দয়া করে আপনারা ব্যবহৃত হবেন না এবং শিশু কিশোরদেরকে আপনারা ব্যবহার করবেন না। যে 20 জন বিবৃতি দিয়েছেন তাদেরকে বুদ্ধিজীবী বলতে আমার লজ্জা হচ্ছে। স্বাধীনতার সুবর্ণ জয়ন্তীর দিন স্বাধীনতা দিবস পালন না করে এগুলো যারা করেছে তাদের সমালোচনা না করে বরং তাদের পক্ষ নিয়ে বিবৃতি দেওয়ার পর তারা আর স্বাধীনতার সপক্ষের শক্তি বলে তারা দাবি করতে পারেন না। তারা আর টেলিভিশনের পর্দায় গিয়ে তারা সুশীল বলে দাবি করতে পারেন না। তারা উগ্র সাম্প্রদায়িক গোষ্ঠীর সাথে মিশে গেছেন।
Radical organization Hifazat-e-Islam under the patronage of BNP Jamaat is carrying out anti-state chaos across the country at a time when Bangladesh is making remarkable progress and celebrating the birth centenary of Bangabandhu and Golden Jubilee of Independence. Political analysts and noted citizens made this assessment. They say the ongoing mayhem of the anti-liberation forces is just a repetition of the violence took place between 2013 and 2015. The country has been experiencing a brutal violence by the Hifazat-e-Islam for days. Political analysts and noted citizens also say activists of this radical organization are burning down portraits of the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, in order to destroy the spirit of great liberation war. The nation is baffled by the ongoing Hifazat-e-Islam violence, they added. Various political parties, including Bangladesh Awami League, have staged demonstrations and hold rallies in cities' many spots protesting hartal today. Bangladesh Shadinata Porishad has formed a human chain and hold rally in front of National Press Club protesting anti-state conspiracy and hartal. Advisor to Bangladesh Shadinata Porishad, Barrister Zakir Ahmed, presided over the protest program, while its General Secretary Shahadat Hussain Toel, Bangabandhu Sanskritik General Secretary Arun Sarkar Rana and Awami League leader M.A. Karim spoke among others. They urged the people who believe in the spirit of the liberation war and soldiers of Sheikh Mujib to face any kind of conspiracy hatched against the country. A protest rally against hartal was held at 23 Bangabandhu venue led by Jatiyo Shramik League General Secretary Azam Khusru. Besides Bangladesh Jubo League, led by its General Secretary Moinul Hussain Khan Nikhil, and Bangladesh Sechachebok League, led by its General Secretary Afzalur Rahman Babu, also hold protest rallies and staged demonstrations against hartal at the same venue. Bangladesh Krishok League Dhaka South City Unit protested the hartal in the capital. Krishok League Vice President lawmaker Hosni Ara Begum presided over the protest rally. Meanwhile, Jatiyo Samajtantrik Dal JSD has held protest rallies against hartal at 19 Bangabandhu venue. JSD central leaders were present at the rally procession. A 36-member Indian Armed Forces delegation led by Major General retired Narayanan Shankar Nari, those who took part in the Liberation War of Bangladesh, arrived Dhaka on March 25 on the occasion of bicentenary and the Golden Jubilee celebration. The delegation paid tributes to the martyrs of the armed forces in Liberation War by placing wreaths at Shikha Onirban at Dhaka cantonment today. After placing wreaths, they signed the visitors' book. Later, the delegation made a courtesy call on Bangladesh Army Chief General Aziz Ahmed. During the call on, the delegation praised the advancement and development of Bangladesh. They also expressed their hope that the existing relations between the two friendly countries will be strengthened in the days to come. The Army Chief handed over mementos to the members of Indian delegation for their taking part in Independence War of Bangladesh. The visiting delegation also met with officers of the Armed Forces Division. Meanwhile, the visiting Indian delegation also called on Chief of Naval Staff Admiral M. Shaheen Iqbal at the Naval Headquarters at Bonani. During the call on, the Navy Chief remembered the greater role played by the Indian soldiers from making the Operation Jackpot a success. Later, the visiting Indian delegation called on Assistant Chief of Air Staff Air Vice Marshal Mohammad Abul Bashar. During the call-on, they jointly expressed their hopes and aspirations that the existing relations between Bangladesh and India will be strengthened in the days ahead. International news now. Human rights officials are calling on the international community to do more to stop the bloodshed in Myanmar after more than 100 civilians were reportedly killed by the Myanmar military junta that overthrew the country's elected government. UN Special Rapporteur for Human Rights in Myanmar, Tom Andrews, said it is time for robust, coordinated action as words are not enough to protect people's lives. At least 114 people were killed Saturday during protests in 44 towns and cities across the country. According to a tally by the independent Myanmar Now news outlet, the bloodiest day of protests since a military coup last month. Meanwhile, the U.S. has said that it is horrified by the killing of a score of anti-coup protesters in Myanmar on Saturday. Secretary of State Antony Blinken accused the military of a reign of terror that was sacrificing the lives of the people to serve the few. COVID-19 global death toll crosses 27,91,000 as more than 9,760 people died yesterday globally. More than 12,74,55,000 have been infected globally and more than 10,27,06,000 people have recovered so far. The United States, the current epicenter of the pandemic, has now 3,09,21,000 confirmed cases and 5,62,000 deaths. 35 COVID-19 patients died in the country in the last 24 hours, taking the death toll from the pandemic to 8,904. The recovery count rose to 5,35,941 after another 2,019 recovered during the period. A press release of the Directorate General of Health Services confirmed this today. The tally of infections rose to 5,95,714 with 3,908 new cases. And now sports news. Bangladesh lost to New Zealand by 66 runs in the first T20 of three-match series in Hamilton today. New Zealand won the toss and decided to bat first. They scored 210 runs for 3 in their stipulated 20 overs. Devon Conway was unbeaten on 92 runs. In reply, Bangladesh managed to score 144 runs for 8 in their stipulated 20 overs. Afif Hussain scored 45 runs for Bangladesh. Conway was adjudged man of the match. To end the bulletin headlines once again. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina calls for organizing all kinds of programs carefully, following health and hygiene rules as corona infections increase in the country again. Obaidul Qadir urges all to be united under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's leadership to foil evil activities of unholy communal forces. Information and Broadcasting Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood advises madrasa students and teachers not to become instruments to fulfill others' political aspirations. Hifazat-e-Islam under BNP Jamaat's patronage creating mayhem all over the country, observers and analysts opine. Demonstration held in different parts of the country, including capital, in protest against Hifazat's violence. World leaders, including the United Nations, condemn killing of 114 people in anti-military protests in Myanmar. And in Hamilton, New Zealand defeat Bangladesh by 66 runs in the first three-match T20 series. And here we end the news. Thank you for being with us. Our next bulletin is coming up at 11:30 in Bangla. Until then, Khuda Hafiz.